Okay, so first of all, on behalf of the Mentor Committee, thanks so much for joining us tonight. Happy New Year to everyone. We hope that everyone had a wonderful Christmas, and those of you who were able to spend quality family time, congrats. Those of you who didn't get to do that, praying for your kiddos and everything that's going on with them. So just going to welcome everyone tonight, and I'm going to ask Carla if she would please do a roll call.
I got a few here. I don't see Amy Hutchinson. I've got Amy Ocampo, Ann Berkins, Ann Cordero, Ann Parker, Barb Cook, Brenda Bingham, I think I saw.
Yeah.
Okay. Brenda King, I don't have. Brenda Russell. Carol Sanchez. No. Cheryl and I have. Chris Hoffman I have. Connie Brooks. Connie Muller, I've got you.
Yep.
Deb Walls, Denise, Elaine Brock. I have her. Ginger Novak I have. Is Gloria on?
Yes.
No, Gloria Chavez Sampson?
No.
Yes.
There was an email saying she was having trouble getting on.
Jan Rusk. Janet Broussard was excused. Jeannie Ulmer.
See Jeannie.
Oh, I see Jeannie. Is Jen Pecorina, is she one of the callers? I see
No,
two
but
call-in.
Joyce is.
Teresa is
Okay,
one of
Joyce
the,
is. Okay.
Teresa is one of the callers too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Julie Rogers. Karen Ferris. Nope, she's excused. Kathleen Fowle. Kim Schinder. Linda Samuels. Melissa Clipper. Penny Estrada. Penny Wright I have. Sonia Stowers.
I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Sylvia Gaxiola. Teresa Coons, you said is here. Trudy Wasaki is here, and Gloria Jordan is here. Did I miss anybody?
Okay.
All right.
I'm going to do something tonight that we don't normally do, and I'm sorry that I'm going to throw Ann Parker for a loop, but Ann, would you mind opening this group in prayer?
Not a problem at all, my dear. Let us pray, ladies. Father, let us just take a moment and center ourselves. It's been a long, busy day for most of us. We ask you to be with us tonight as we conduct this meeting. Help us to come forward from it, refreshed in the work that we're doing. Some days this mentor work is easy and fun, and other days it's tough and frustrating. Help us to just stay focused, to always look to thee for support and guidance, and know that what we do is a labor of love for our organization. We ask you to be with our military, our veterans, and all of our loved ones. In thy name we pray. Amen.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and jump in. As I said, Denise sent me this agenda earlier today for us to just kind of go through. I'll try to get through this quickly because I know that we have a lot of people that need to hop off. So number one is the fact that we need more mentors. We have about 12 chapters currently that need a mentor. And so if there's anyone here tonight that is willing to take on just one more, 2 more would be great, but if you're willing to take on 1 more, if you could just email Denise directly and let her know that you would be willing to take on another chapter or 2, that would be greatly appreciated. We are going to be doing a call for mentors. We decided, and I'm gonna jump ahead on her agenda here real quick. February 5th, let me jump down here, make sure that is correct. Yeah, February 5th, we're actually going to do a mentor training. And we're going to put this out to the entire body and anyone who either wants to know about mentors and what our roles are or is interested in being a mentor. We're going to ask them to join us just so that they can kind of see what we do. And we're going to talk about what our roles are and what the purpose of every chapter having a mentor is versus just the new chapters having a mentor. And then we'll let them know what the qualifications are, and we'll let them know that if they think that they're interested in being a mentor, to reach out to Denise. They will be going through a screening process. So just because they say, oh, I think I'd like to mentor, that does not necessarily mean that they're going to be able to do that. We want to make sure that we get really good, dedicated mentors. As Ann said, some days are really easy, some days are really hard. This is a little bit time consuming because we have to reach out to all of the chapters and we have to file monthly or bi-monthly reports. So it's, there is a little bit of work to it. So we want to make sure that we get good dedicated workers. So that was number one. Again, if you're interested in taking, even if it's on a temporary basis, you know, 1 or 2 more chapters on a temporary basis, let Denise know, please. Just to recap, the qualifications for being a mentor is that you must be a member in good standing for 5 years. In the past, we have said that you should be, or that we wanted presidents, a chapter president to be a mentor. And I think the reasoning behind this is that we felt like that if you were leading a chapter, that you would pretty much know the guts of what goes into a chapter and would make good mentors. We're finding out that we have a lot of very qualified people to mentor that have not been a president. So it's preferred if you've had that role, but it's not a requirement anymore to have held the president position. We need people that will commit to checking in with the chapters every month and submit their report, every other month and submit their reports, and then be available for chapters in between if they have questions. I'm getting a lot of questions being the first VP and membership person. I'm getting a lot of questions about membership that I think the mentors could very easily answer some of these questions. And so we would really like to utilize, not that I'm trying to pass my job on to anybody else, but membership's been pretty heavy this year, which has been great. But so if we can get the mentors to answer some of these questions for the chapters, that would help out tremendously. We've had some questions regarding who can be a Blue Star mother. And so just to be clear on that, moms of honorably discharged kiddos can remain as a Blue Star mother. If your child is going to boot camp, their child has raised their right hand and they have sworn to serve and protect, and they're going to boot camp, they can still be a Blue Star mother. Now, if their child gets halfway through boot camp and doesn't make it, if they're medically discharged, mom can stay on as a member. If the kid quits or fails and is released from the program, then unfortunately the mother is no longer a Blue Star mother. They can stay on as an associate if they would like to stay and continue to support. They can convert to an associate, that would be fine. Gold Star mothers can be Blue Star mothers as well. And those who are going through the ROTC. Any questions on who can be a Blue Star mother? I have a hand by Sherilyn.
And Parker.
So this comes up over and over and over again. And the requirement for honorably discharged is not a requirement. The charter says that if they have served or have been honorably discharged, and because of the word or, there is no requirement for an honorable discharge. It came up at convention even this year, and that wording is wrong in our constitution. It doesn't match the charter, the title
Okay.
code.
We'll
So
go back and look at
it's
that.
kind of an ongoing, it keeps coming up with wrong information. We really need to get that fixed if we can.
Okay. Okay.
So we have that, it was sent to me, and that is something that we will be going over at midyear.
Okay. Thank you. Barb, did you have a question?
Yeah, I did. So if they're a gold star, do they have to pay the membership for a blue star, Mom?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then I have another question real quick. I just want you to know, California 8 has reached out to me because we're getting ready to do a big meet and greet next weekend and asked me for some help. So if no one has California 8, I would be glad, 9, I would be glad to take them as a mentor.
They do have a mentor assigned to them, Barb.
Okay,
I'll keep that in
Okay.
mind if
I
something
just
changes.
know that she came to me and asked me questions about
Yeah.
the meet and greet that we're doing.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Denise. You wanted to say something else.
Yeah, on my agenda there, I had a question mark for ROTC. And I guess maybe the academy also. I don't get where the line is, because I don't know that ROTC members sign on the dotted line until well into their process. Or is it when they get commissioned?
Yeah, and that's the thing that we have to look at, because just because, I have to go back, let me take a step back on this. So my son-in-law is a medic, and he's putting in to go through the military nursing program. And so if he's accepted into that program, he will be given 2 years to be in school. He's still considered active duty, and during that time, he will be participating in the ROTC. So I think, we have to look at these. We can't just say, if you're in the ROTC, you cannot be a member. I think we need to look at these and see what the circumstances are. There are a lot of kids that are going through the ROTC that had already signed on the dotted line. But they're taking time off to go to school and to go through that ROTC program. So I don't think it's black and white. I think we're going to have to look at each of those and figure out who qualifies and who doesn't. But I don't want to just say no to ROTC.
Thank you.
Miss Ann?
My kids both went through ROTC. It has always been the position, as long as I've been a member, that ROTC, they are students. They're students studying military science. They are not active duty until they are commissioned. Now, in the case of your son-in-law, he's been active duty and he is going through what will become a direct commission.
Yeah.
But if the kid is still in school, having never prior service, they are not eligible in everything I've been told. And I said, both of my kids went through 4 years of ROTC.
Yeah, and that's why I said we're going to have to look at the case, because is it a case like Ann's children who were not commissioned yet, or is it a case like my son-in-law who has been commissioned, but he's now going through the ROTC program, but he's still considered active duty through the military, and they're paying him to go through this program. So I think we're going to have to look at those, each of those. Sherilyn?
So that's the whole, you said it yourself. The fact that he's already serving is his criteria, and that's his eligibility. And we did look at this a few years ago, and we looked at it through the Department of Defense. The military academies, they have taken the oath, they are getting paid to go through. So if they're at the Naval Academy or if they're at West Point, that is an eligible academy because it's a little different than going to San Jose State and then also being a volunteer for the ROTC. So it's two different things because the military academies, Coast Guard, you know, the actual military academies are recognized by DoD as service. But if they're just a volunteer in the ROTC as a volunteer or as a side thing, then that is not a qualification. So your son-in-law's case is different because he was already in the military.
Yeah, so again, we just have to look at these. If somebody applies, we just need to ask questions and then base it on where they're at. Sonia, did you have a question?
I was just going to say that I know my son looked at ROTC when he was in college, and depending on the college and depending on the branch of service, you either do sign right away or you sign between sophomore and junior year, or you're on scholarship and you're signed because you're on scholarship. So the ROTC thing is completely an individual, like every university will be different, every case will be different. It's not a way, you can't just make a blanket ROTC declaration.
Yeah, okay, great, thank you. Any other questions regarding who can be a Blue Star Mother? Okay, so then going down here a little bit further, a recommendation that has been brought to us. I know I kind of chuckled when I read this one. Ladies, remember that when you're on a Zoom meeting, if you are zooming into a chapter, to another chapter for their meeting, or if you're zooming in for somebody else, it's about Blue Star Mothers, please look like you're interested. We have several people who get on our Blue Star Mother meetings and they're like, you know, and I know we're all tired at night. We've had long days. Some of us have had long weeks already. And so the last thing that we want to do is sit on a Zoom meeting, but try to put on your happy face. I will tell you the first convention, the first year that I was elected to Blue Star Mothers was 2018. So 2019 was my very first convention that I went to, and Miss Ann was our president. And she said, ladies, remember, you're sitting up on this stage, on this panel in front of, 200 other sisters out there, smile. And so I was so intense on, I should just sit here and smile through the whole thing. And at the end of the week, these two little elderly members came up to me and they said, honey, you're just the happiest person we've ever seen because you could smile through the whole thing. My cheeks hurt so bad, but Miss Ann said, remember to smile. So when you're talking about Blue Star Mother stuff, I'm very passionate about it. I know other people are extremely passionate about it. Even when I'm tired, I try to be passionate about it. So make it shine through on your face when you're talking to your chapter members and doing your mentoring. Make it shine through in your voice, make it shine through on your face, and just let them know how excited that we are about Blue Star Mothers. So, so the next, any questions on smiling? Next thing that we had here was regarding standing rules. We'll be doing smiling training at our next convention. Standing rules. There have been several questions about this. Sherilyn had sent in a report about a chapter that had some questions, and she gave a very good explanation about this. So I hope you don't mind that we're going to steal this and share it. What she said is standing rules. These address items at the chapter level that are not addressed at the national governing documents. For example, where and when the meetings will be held. Another example might be in regard to who manages the social media account or who is able to lead a committee. These are voted and approved by the chapter and are valid until revoked. They should be listed in a document used by the chapter. Nothing in the standing rules can be in conflict with the governing documents or Robert's Rules 12th edition 2.23. And I think that's she had sent this to Denise. I think that this is a great explanation. So if anybody's asking about standing rules for the chapter, I know a lot of chapters say, well, we just follow everything that that the national does, which is great. But like she explained in here, you know, you need to give them a little bit more about when your meetings are, where they are, the social media rules. So I think that was a great explanation. Sherilyn, did you want to add anything else to that? Does anyone have questions about that?
I can email that little blurb out to everybody tomorrow.
Great. Stacy?
Yeah.
I think Ann was first.
We're probably going to say the same thing. What needs to be added to that? It's great, Charlotte. I think that your wording is excellent, but the last sentence ought to be, these rules cannot go into effect until they are approved by the National Standing Rules Committee person. They are
NEB level?
no, it's a standing rules chairman. Her name is Amy Ocampo. And so once they do their standing rules, they need to be sent to standing rules at bluestarmothers.us, I believe it is, because I can't tell you the chapters that have said to me this year, well, we do it this way because it's in our standing rules. And I said, I don't give a heck what your standing rules say. They're in conflict. You've devised something that can't be. And were they ever approved? Why, no.
Amy, how many responses did you get when you sent out your emails?
I was just looking at that. I think I got back like 12.
I never saw I didn't even know there was a standing rules committee. I'll be honest, I never saw that.
Yeah, it went out
Me either.
in August.
I got 12 back, and only 2 of those were like spot on perfect. The rest of them I've had to send back and ask them to make changes.
You sent it to the president or the board?
I'm sorry?
You send the email to the president or the board of the chapter?
I send it back to usually the president.
Maybe we need to do it again.
This is Ann Cordero, TX6. I'm wondering if it's because we change boards usually in like August and September, maybe some things got lost in translation, because I know I never saw anything and I became president again this time around.
Well, if all of the chapters would use their at bluestarmothers.us, it doesn't matter who the president is because the president would be getting the information.
Thank you.
Very good.
I know, I'm preaching it.
But Amy, this is Ohio 21. Would you please resend that to me?
We will send it back out.
Okay, thank you very much.
You know, Amy, that might be something that we want to throw in the upcoming newsletter.
Okay.
See about getting something out. Sylvia, did you have a question?
If we already sent it in and didn't hear back from Amy, then are we to assume that it's good?
Probably yes. What chapter are you?
Illinois 6.
Let me look.
Oh, look at Sylvia's little baby.
Isn't he so cute?
Sonia, I don't see one from you.
Oh, I sent one in ages ago. Okay,
Can you resend it to me?
I will.
Okay. Yeah, 'cause I don't have one from you.
Okay. That's why we didn't hear back from you then. I don't know where that went.
We'll get it taken care of.
Okay, Stacy, did you want to say anything else on that?
I was just gonna, the fact that, I know he sent out emails and only got a few responses. A lot of people don't wanna deal with it. So I know, and obviously some people didn't get it, or the change of the officers is a good point. And a lot of things go into spam. I find things in my spam all the time. Like the email I got back from the bling lady when she got the order, it had sat in the spam for a week and a half, telling me that shirts are on back ordered and she's trying to find the sizes that we need. So do make sure you check your spams because a lot of stuff goes there. Whoa, what was that? I was rocking out.
Okay. Okay, anything else on standing rules before we move on? Sylvia, do you have another question?
Mm-mm.
Sylvia's hands up and Ann's hands up. Ann, do you have a question?
Yeah, I would like to ask Amy if she'd be so kind as to do a spreadsheet showing who's we've received them from, who has told you they don't have standing rules. I think as a NEB, we need to know that. Can I ask you to do that, please?
I sure can do that.
And then make it in that wonderful thing called Google Docs and share it with us?
Okay, I can do that.
Now that
Thank
we've
you.
all been trained on Google Docs.
Yeah. Yes, we are just running over with knowledge of Google Docs.
I'm
Thank
learning
you.
how to do it too this year.
Yeah, it's a pretty good tool. I think
It
Sharon
is.
has her hand up.
Okay, I think Charlene's got her hand up again.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask Amy, if there's a chapter that does have a good sample, would you see if they'd be willing to let us use that as a sample? Like, I know like my chapter, we've never taken the time to dig out the pieces from the minutes and actually turn it into a document. So even though I know what it is, my chapter is one of the, like, oops, that's gonna have to be one of our, things to get taken care of.
Yep.
But it would always be helpful to have, not have to reinvent a wheel.
Yeah.
Right. Okay,
Yeah.
yep, I can do that. Who do you want me to send these to? Everybody?
Send
All the
what,
mentors? Or just to,
what are you sending out, Amy?
I'm sorry,
Spreadsheet?
I didn't hear you.
Are you sending the spreadsheet? Are you talking about the spreadsheet?
No, the example.
I think it should go to everybody.
Yeah.
If you want us to participate, we need to be able to see exactly what we're looking to do.
Okay,
A good example would be great.
okay.
So
So
Trudy,
all
I'm
chapter
sorry.
presidents or all the board?
I would say chapter presidents. All of
Okay.
us should be having board meetings.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you, Amy. Is there anything else on standing rules? Seeing no other questions? Okay, so the next thing is why don't chapters reply to our check-ins? There's a wide variety of why they don't reply. For one, they're not following our governing documents. And so if they figure that if they ignore us, that we'll just go away, but we don't go away. If you have chapters that are not responding to you, please let me know. I know I've reached out to a couple of them. One of the chapters that I reached out to, one of the presidents had COVID. And so her husband actually texted me back. I sent an email and then I also did a phone call and they heard my voice message. And so the husband texted me back to let me know that his wife was sick with COVID, but that she was feeling much better and that she would get in touch with us as soon as possible. So, there could be reasons as to why they're not. But so a couple of things are that they're afraid that they may have to close. And they don't want to tell us that they're only down to 4 members. And that, so they're afraid that if they make contact and the mentor finds out that they only have four members, that we're going to be shutting them down. They're not following our governing documents, or they don't want to have national watching over them. So one of the things that we've really been trying to push, and the chapters that I've been talking to about membership and even these that I've had to reach out to because they're not responding to mentors, I'm really trying to drive home the fact that we are mentors, not monitors. And that was also the next thing that we had on here as well. But we are here to help them. Everyone, all of our mentors, all of our national officers, we're not here to criticize and to punish. we're here to help. And everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has hiccups along the way. And so it's much better to say our chapter is struggling with something and we need help than it is just to kind of bury your head in the sand and hope that we'll just overlook you. So those are some of the reasons why they're not getting back with you. And like I said, just let me know and I'll be happy to reach out and to call or text them as well. I just briefly said, you know, we're mentors, not monitors. We're here to find out things that the chapters are doing wrong, but we're here to teach them how to do it right. And again, I think we do have more people that are finally looking at our governing documents, and we've got more people calling in and asking questions. And I think if we can use our mentors to help bond that sisterhood and friendship with our chapter presidents and our chapter officers, I think that they're going to feel more comfortable asking us questions or saying, I think that we've screwed up our books and we need some help. So again, be a good mentor. And then the other thing that just kind of goes along with that as well is that we need to verify information before we vilify anyone. A lot of these chapters, even the chapters that are having hiccups, 9 times out of 10, they're not doing it on purpose. They just don't know what they're supposed to be doing. And so I think if you can verify the information and not just come in gruffly and start vilifying everything that they've done wrong, I think that they'll be a lot more responsive to us as well. Another thing that has been put on here is to possibly attend your chapter's meeting via Zoom. When you reach out to these chapters, this is the beginning of 2022. I would send them a Happy New Year. Hope you guys had wonderful holiday. Hope 2022 is a very successful year for your chapter. Find out when their chapter meeting is and ask if you can just pop on for just a meeting, just to do a meet and greet and let everybody in the chapter know that you're the mentor, not just for the president, but for everybody there. And you don't have to do that every month. I would just, pick a couple each month and, maybe notify them this month and see if you can pop in between February and March and just kind of do it your own little meet and greet. Let's see here. And then we talked about this one before, setting up a Zoom meeting for all of your chapters, your chapter officers. If you've got, 5 or 6 chapters that you're the mentor for, why don't you reach out to them and say, hey, I'm kind of thinking that maybe I've got 5 or 6 chapters that I'm mentoring. I'm kind of thinking that maybe if all the presidents want to do a Zoom and kind of do a little meet and greet so you can meet the other chapters that I'm mentoring and we can kind of do some brainstorming on, how are meetings going for you? Is everything virtual? Are you in person? How's fundraising going? What kind of events have you been able to participate in? That would be something good that you guys could do as well. You could do it if you have smaller chapters. You might be able to do it with the entire chapter, but I would suggest that you start with just the officers first. And depending on how many chapters that you're mentoring, if you have 10 chapters and maybe you just want to do the presidents. If you've got less than that, then maybe include all of the officers. But that would be a good way for them to put a name with a face, and don't forget to smile when you're Zooming with them so that they see that you're a nice person. And let's see, anything else here? Send your check-in to all the officers at the beginning of the even months. So not January, but we have February. But I just said, if you want to send something out in January that just says Happy New Year, that might be a good thing for you to do. And then maybe set up something to meet with them in February. Send it out at the beginning of the month. And then that way, if they don't reply within a couple of weeks, you can resend it. And I think Denise says, I type resending to make sure you received my email last week. If still no response, then it's time, to give them a call. But whatever you do, please don't give up on our chapters. I know sometimes it can be very frustrating. I said this before, and I will say it again here. It's really important to let your chapters know first and foremost that you are their mentor. My mentor reached out to me and did not tell me she was my mentor. She just said, "Hi, how you doing?" And I thought, well, this is so sweet of her to contact me, but I'm super busy right now, so I don't have time to reply back to her. And then I found out about a month later that she was actually our chapter mentor. So it kind of helps if you say, "Hi, how you doing? By the way, I'm your mentor." Looks like Gloria's got a hand raised. Where's Gloria?
Yes. Hi.
Right.
Rebecca, I am no longer a chapter president, so I have a very limited access to membership rosters. Before I could go in and find out, do a search and find out who the president was, and it may open it up and share with me who the other officers are. And right now I kind of bug our chapter president to do that. Is there any way that as mentors that we can get either the same access that we had when we were presidents, or at least a little bit more?
Well, I apologize to everyone. As the mentor, what you received is the chapter officer roster. I am behind on getting these validated. We had them coming in and I was getting them verified, and then we had compliance come in as well. And so I've got some duplicates, and I have had some, found out that some of the duplicates are not the same as what they had originally sent me back in October. So I'm having to go back and to verify again. But what happens is once I verify that chapter officer roster, I send it to Denise, and then Denise will send it out to the appropriate mentor. And that will give you the officers for that chapter that you're mentoring, but it will not give you the entire chapter roster.
Would it give you, and I don't necessarily, I'm not looking for like really personal information, but I like that I was able to have access to whom their military child was. Sometimes just saying that child's name, asking them how Johnny is doing or Susan is doing. But I could also have their personal mailing address so that even if it was just a holiday card. I remember when Deb Waltz was my mentor under the chapter, I received a holiday card from her.
Yeah.
And
unfortunately, I cannot give out that information. We do have a lot of members that when they joined, they expect their information to be kept confidential. And so what we have told the chapters is that the president and the membership person of each of the chapters has the authority to go in and to run a roster for their chapter. And I will run a roster for them. But I also remind them when I send it out to them that it has got confidential information on it and it is not to be shared. We've told the chapters that if your chapter's having a meeting and people want to utilize a sign-in sheet and they give you their name, their address, their phone number, their email, then that's fine for them to do that. But we have to be very careful with, I totally understand where you're coming from, and I think it's wonderful. But I just am not allowed to give out that personal information.
And that's a valid point, and I thank you for sharing that. I had not considered it in that way.
Yeah, we have a lot of kiddos that are, top secret, and we have some members that have joined that they don't give us an address. They will give me an email and they will give me a phone number, but they don't even want us to know what their address is because their child is in high security clearance and they've been told to lay low. So we just have to respect that.
And like I say, it certainly makes sense. Now that I even think about what you're saying, I just had not considered it in that manner.
Yeah.
So I'll be more cautious too going forward.
Stacy, did you want to say something?
Oh, I wasn't aware that members or chapter presidents could go on the website and go a roster and get information from other members. I thought those were all blocked.
I think that that was changed. I don't think that they can do that anymore. I think that all of that was changed. And that's what Gloria is saying, is that she used to be able to do that.
They
And now they
probably
can't.
changed it because of me. I'm sorry.
They found out that some lady was out there stalking everybody and sending them cards. Okay, Amy, you have a question, hon?
I do, and I know that you just talked about this, but if we're supposed to be a mentor for the entire chapter, but we don't have their email addresses, how do we, sorry, how do we know that the chapter officers are going to let them know?
That is why we suggest that you go to a meeting, that you ask to Zoom into one of their meetings and do a meet and greet and give them your contact information.
Okay, because that's what I've been doing. You know, I went to my first one and they're like, oh, we thought it was just for the president.
Yeah.
I'm like, nope, here's my email, here's my phone number. So, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I think mentoring is something that we need to be hitting in the newsletters, again, that we send out, maybe not every month, but every other month, you know, just reminding everybody, because we will have members that will read that and say, oh gosh, I didn't know that I had a mentor. And we need to put the contact information in there. We'll put Denise's contact in there. If you don't know who your mentor is, you know, contact Denise and she can get you hooked up.
Yeah, and I have 5 really good chapters, but I have one that has never answered me.
Okay, well, email me that information tomorrow
Okay.
and I'll get on it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Rebecca,
Anything else on that?
I just wanted to say, I did put an article in the last newsletter. And
Okay.
I didn't get any emails from anybody or phone calls from anybody asking who their mentor is. So, but we'll keep doing it every few months.
Well, and remember too, that the last newsletter went out right around the holidays as well, and I'm guilty, I haven't read mine. So I'm sure that once things kind of settle down, we get through the holidays and stuff, people will go back to reading those again as well. Carla, do you have a question, hon?
Yeah, I wonder if instead of putting Denise, I mean, put Denise as a secondary, but put, you know, maybe you want to ask your president, because your president knows who your mentor is.
Well, that's true too.
Yeah, and then if you can't get it from your president and you have an issue, you know, then contact Denise and she can put you in touch. But, you know, if we're emailing, I email the board, and if they're not telling the rest of their chapters, that's they got to take some responsibility for that too.
Yeah. Stacy?
Yeah, I think instead of Denise, put in the newsletter again. Yes, the newsletter is a great tool, but that newsletter is so freaking long. So I think something like this, like the mentoring, if she's got something to say, write it out, send it to me in the webmaster, and let's have the webmaster just send it to all chapter boards.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Stacy.
With Amy's, looking for the reports. If we add it into the newsletter, yeah, it's great to put in the newsletter, but let's also send it out through our webmaster. What are they called? Standing rules.
I have to admit, I love reading the newsletter and seeing what all the chapters across the country are doing. And I know that you don't like it to be longer than 25 pages, and Karen's doing her best to hold there. But I really do like reading I'm amazed at some of the work that they're doing, and I'm always inspired.
I love it too. I love getting ideas for my chapter and stuff. But I also, as many good complaints as there are, there's that many bad complaints. I don't have time to read all this. This is too long. What I don't like is how squished everything is, so then you don't see their faces. So, I mean, it's a happy medium. But I'm not saying, oh, we can't make the newsletter bigger. I'm just saying, some people won't, when they open it and see that it's 45 pages, they're not going to read it. Or they're not going to read it all. They may just go to find their chapter and move on. Whereas something that's important for mentoring, we should send out separately, like we do with our other stuff at different committees. I wasn't saying anything about bad of the
Or
newsletter.
maybe every other month, 1 month can be more detail oriented on what needs to be done. And then the next month could be what chapters are doing. So one is, dead serious on, this is what you need to do. Let's follow these mentor guidelines. And then the following month, you've got all the fun stuff of what the chapters are doing.
So what would your suggestion be on the limitation of a chapter? Some chapters, they have 4 pages worth of stuff.
Yeah.
Do we allow it all?
Well, and then they can use that on their Facebook pages too, those that have nice Facebook pages set up. If you're following anybody on Facebook, any chapters on Facebook. And it's tough, but they're proud of what they're doing, so.
Well, they should be very proud of what they're doing. Again, like I've had numerous members say to me, how many times do we have to see chapters make care packages? And I'm like, well, my chapter never gets the opportunity to make them. So, I mean, yeah, it's great to see what everybody else is doing. It helps give ideas, see what everybody else is selling or their fundraisers. So it's a happy medium, and we just have to try to find a happy medium. And for the last, I don't know, how long I've been on the board, 6 years, I was always told that the newsletter was never to be more than 20 pages. Every president's different.
Yeah.
So it just, I think 30, 40 pages is a little extreme, but that's just my opinion. I don't think we've had a newsletter less than that yet.
Yeah. And I do agree with what you were saying, Stacy, that I think mentoring is important enough that even if we put it in the newsletter, it may get overlooked. So maybe we should have a special email sent out regarding mentoring and make sure that the presidents are letting the chapters know who their mentor is, and that if they're not, then they can use Denise as a second contact. Carl, I think that's a great idea to not have the presidents as that first line. So we'll look into that. A couple other things that Denise had put on here is to again, send out your email the first of the month. In your email that you might mention that you enjoy hearing about the fun activities and events that they're doing, and that you asked if they would just share their ideas with you, so that you can kind of help some of the other chapters that might be struggling. And then it's also really important in your email to tell them that you need to report to national that the chapters are responding back. So those are just a couple of bullet points to put into your emails out to your chapters. Any questions about those reports? And then Denise said, just as a reminder, mentors need to submit their reports before the end of the month. Even if a chapter doesn't respond after a few attempts, send the report stating that. Some mentors are submitting reports for some of their chapters, but not all of them. If you have a reason as to why you can't report, let Denise know. We've had a lot of sickness. Unfortunately, we've had a lot of deaths within Blue Star Mothers here lately. We've got computer issues, traveling abroad, whatever it is. We understand that, but if there's some reason why you can't get your reports in, if you could just let Denise know that, then she at least knows that you've not forgotten about the reports, that you're just having some hiccups right now. The last thing, I'm just gonna hit this again. If everybody would do a save the date, there will be a mentoring training on February 5th for all the mentors, and then any members interested in mentoring. We don't have a time scheduled yet, but I think that we were looking at doing that on a Saturday morning. We know weekends are precious to everyone, especially those of us who are still working Monday through Friday. Our weekends are very precious, but we thought by doing it on a February Saturday morning, that it would be brutally cold here in the Midwest and the North, that we'd be okay with staying in and having a little bit of training done. So we'll get that information out. So if you guys know, again, we'll be sending this out to everybody, but if you know someone that you think would be a good mentor, please make sure that you invite them to this. And then that just brings us to our last point. Do we have any questions or comments? Any successes that anyone wants to share with us? Have anybody found a little hidden trick to getting people to respond? Denise, is there anything that you would like to say to this group?
No, thank you all for coming, and thank you, Rebecca, for jumping in. I was tested positive and just found out this morning that I do have COVID. I'm not real sick. I've been vaccinated and boosted, and like I've told other people, I'm not going to blame anybody because he's really, really a sweet little boy, even if he's probably coughed in my face. So, but thank you very much for coming to the meeting.
Congratulations again, Anne, on your daughter's promotion. That's really cool. And so
Yes.
super proud of her and super proud of her mama, because we know that raising of that child came from you. So good job, mama.
Thanks. If you could have heard her speech, it was the best part of the day. She thanked us and for her work ethic and always supporting her. But she thanked lots of other people in the military, from medics to first sergeants, you know, all the way up. It was a cool speech. Thank you for remembering her.
Very cool. Okay, well, if there's nothing else, again, I'm going to go off script here, and I'm just going to ask Ann to close us out in prayer. And thank you, ladies, again for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Let us pray, ladies. Thank you so much, Lord, for a successful meeting tonight, for the harmony and the cooperation that exists between these ladies as they try to spread goodwill among our chapters. We ask you to go with us for a peaceful night's sleep and for protection for our families as they travel around doing the jobs that you have them doing in this world. In thy name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Miss Ann. Thank you, ladies.
Thank
Have
you.
a wonderful evening.
Bye-bye.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Bye,
Thank you.
everybody.
Melissa.